right, we are live back with the entire Coin Vault crew. What's going on, guys? Coming back at you. We got the crux of crypto. We got Maximus in the house, and of course, Blackrue over on X and YouTube. What's going on, guys?
Hey, glad to be here with all of us, plus the Coin Vault. It's going to be a good show. And I did a collab earlier with Mr. Crux of Crypto, and that's going to appear probably late next week.
It'll be a Wednesday of next week. Be on the lookout. That's going to be dope.
Sweet.
Rue, what's going on? Sunny in Colorado or what?
Yeah, nice and sunny here in Scottsdale. Surprisingly cool. A little bit, under 100 degrees. Cool for me. I love it. And yeah, even though crypto is, it's up a little bit. I saw a post from Ghost. He's like, crypto's down, but I'm bullish as fuck. it's heck. I'm right there with him, right? So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I put a funny GIF on that. Do I look like
saw it? It was good.
I just do things. Crux, what's happening, buddy?
Yeah, man. So I got the red lights out. You already know it is bear season. No, I'm just kidding. What's going on, everybody? Crux here. This is actually my favorite time of the week. I get to get along with the Coin Vault crew. We get all of these different perspectives, mostly in agreement, and then sometimes we don't agree, but that's the time you learn. You always want multiple perspectives, so you guys are in good hands.
Amen to that. We got a shout out to David for becoming a member of the channel. Thank you so much, brother, for supporting the channel. Guys, also, if you want to support the Coin Vault crew, consider becoming a member of the channel today. And of course, Angelo says, is it wrong to own 2.4 million Jasmy? Well, if it's wrong, I don't want to be right. Okay.
Classic.
Are you plagiarizing, Rob?
Yeah,
some lyrics of that song.
Right.
It's coming to America.
Yeah.
If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right.
With that bag,
classic.
With that bag, he has more than Matthew Perry. And no, I'm not talking about the guy from Friends.
Hey, Crypto Future, where does Circle stock stand after being removed from Rust growth indices? If you're asking where they stand, if what you mean is should you be worried about Circle stock, I'm not. I'm most certainly not at all. I think Circle is the chosen stable coin for the US for the most part. So much so that I think it will eventually dwarf Tether USDT in the long run. So yeah, they're big backers of many major important crypto projects, and just no, I'm not worried about Circle in the least bit.
I capitulated whenever Bo Hines went. I was like, Team U, like USDT, you guys are reigning. Bo Hines, he showed me the way. So I think Circle, Circle went to, or Bo Hines went to, no, he did go to Circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, so that solidified it for me.
Yeah, for me, people always ask me what's my go-to stable coin. Well, it's a double-sided question or answer, right? For short-term stuff, like just if I'm holding stable coin for buying the dip and stuff like that, it's obviously Tether because they're paired with pretty much everything, right? I can buy just about anything with Tether. Circle will get there one day, I believe, but they're not there quite yet. But for long-term holds, if I'm holding stable coin in self-custody or something like that, it's always in USDC.
I think Tether made some issues. I think they put too much in the gold. I think they made a lot of money with gold, but they stopped their stable coin or their gold pegged product, and I think they sold off a lot of gold. So we will see with how that looks.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the whole fact that, there was always the controversy that Tether was refusing to do an audit for all this time. And then now all of a sudden they need to create a brand new stable coin only for the United States. That's not sus.
That's horrible. Yeah, that's a CBDC in disguise right there. Now, what I want people to look at, how crypto stocks perform outside of a bear winter. So going into most likely Q4 this year, going into Q1, 2 of next year, the crypto stocks, if they don't die, like if MSTR does not die, that is going to be the stock of the decade. I can guarantee it. Not financial advice, but the FUD behind that thing, it's dropped it so low. And if we go into a bull market and they hold 840,000 Bitcoin, they're ripping. So like Circle, Robinhood, like all of these crypto stocks, that's your bread and butter.
Yeah, Robinhood's been making some moves too. Absolutely, don't sleep on them. It's funny. I saw that Binance is essentially getting the boot from the UK, right? And then I see this big headline today. Binance receives permission to serve customers, and where was it? Was it Taiwan or where was it? So somewhere. So some far less relevant location than the UK as a whole, right? And it's like that's supposed to eclipse the fact that they're getting booted out of another country. Like,
I mean, let's be honest here. Binance, they're doing $20 billion plus a day in trading volume. Like the only competitor you could possibly say is like a Hyperliquid, which is like 10 billion. But Binance, like when we get back into a bull market, it's probably going to be pushing 30 billion a day. They've hit escape velocity, and it's owned by CZ. Well, used to be founded by CZ until he had his issues. But you're looking at the world's richest person in crypto, CZ, and clearly the United States and West does not want anything to do with that, you know? So I think that's why Europe shut it down. America, we shut it down, and we have to stick with Coinbase because that's our darling. That's our USDC in comparison to Tether.
They got kicked out of Canada a couple years back too.
Yeah, it's the West. They don't want to play nice with the East. That's how I see that.
Let's be honest though. Binance is not a good actor in this space anyways. Right? Let's be real about it.
I mean, yeah, that's some sketchy stuff. I think that White House stuff on October 10th of last year was sus. So
yeah. I don't trust. Even if I could use Binance at this point, being where I am, I probably still wouldn't, just because they're sus, man. Right? I don't think they're a good actor in the space. So, I mean, look what they're doing with our poor Jasmine, keeping him in the monitoring zone all these years, right? It's got him in a sleeper, got us in a sleeper hold. So yeah, but yeah. Speaking of Jasmine, I got some ranting to do. God, gosh darn it. Okay, getting sick and tired of this. Tired. Okay, now I want to show you guys something, and this is like a microcosm of the problem right now, not just for Jasmine, but for a lot of projects, right? And for me, what it represents is laziness. It's a complete and utter lack of willingness to research and stay up to date with projects that you're investing in. So instead, you throw tantrums on the internet, fudding a project you're invested in, right? What is that? What do you think that does when you're holding a project, whether it's Jasmine, Zebec, or anything else, and you start fudding it on the internet? Well, other people who are, let's say, searching that project, and they go and they type it in, and your stupid post pops up, fudding a project you're holding. What do you think that new people who are considering investing in that project are going to say? Well, look at this guy hates this project. I'm not buying into it. Look at the stuff he's saying, right? You're actually contributing to suppress the price of a project you're holding because you're emotional, right? Look at this post. Imagine being the only regulated crypto in the country with 125 million people that just cut crypto tax from 55% to 20%. That's Jasmine right now, still sitting at 2045, still under the radar. But guys, listen. And this is just one little post that I've seen people complaining about the price action of Jasmine today alone. Tell me you don't understand what a bear market is without telling me you don't understand. There's no money in the space, and you're complaining that Jasmine's not at a new all-time high, right? At that point, in my opinion, you have no business putting your money into an asset class that you don't understand. You haven't done any research. You don't know how the cycles work. You don't know how the asset class works. You're just blindly throwing money into something and then bitching about it on the internet. It makes no sense to me whatsoever, right? Now, Another post I saw was complaining about Hara directly attacking him and a lack of transparency. So I looked it up. That's right. Your boy brings receipts, right? So let's talk about it.
Get them.
Right? You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Because the level of entitlement in it was absurd. It was basically saying Hara owes us information. He owes us to tell us what's going on, right? I got bad news for you. If you hold Jasmine, if you hold any crypto project out there, the CEO, CFO of the company, pardon my French, doesn't owe you shit. All right? First thing I want to cover. Holding a crypto does not grant you shares in a company. It does not grant you a vote. It doesn't grant you a public AMA with the CEO. Okay? If, and I'm going to throw this one at you guys, right? If a crypto project, a crypto coin or token granted you shares in the company, what would that crypto project then be, guys?
Security.
A security. So you can't say that the SEC can't go after us because these are commodities and then complain that you don't have the rights of something like a commodity in a company. You do not own shares of a company by holding a crypto project. And the company does not owe you anything. Do you want, if the CEO of a company came out, and there's another question for you guys, if the CEO of a company came out and started promising that they were going to take actions to increase the value of the token that you hold, say it loud for the people in the back, what would that make your crypto project? A security. Right? These are not securities. They are commodities. You don't own shares in the company. Now, again, your boy did the research. So I looked it up. How many AMAs has Hara done, the CFO of Jasmine, in the last couple of years? He's done 40 AMAs and interviews publicly. Now I'm gonna go deeper. How many interviews and AMAs were done by the CEO of Google over the same time frame, the last couple of years? Anybody want to take a guess?
Google?
Yeah.
I would say probably 8 a year, maybe.
80?
8, just 8.
Anybody else want to guess?
I'm gonna say like 5, and they're not even really technically AMAs if you're gonna talk about Ken talks and stuff like that, but it is what it is.
Rue, you got a guess?
12.
0. The CEO of Google over the same time frame, the last couple of years, has done 0 AMAs, given 0 public information on X or anything else to stockholders.
I was only off by 5.
Yeah.
How many AMAs did the CEO of Apple do in the same time frame?
0.
0.
Yeah.
None.
There's a trend here.
Niente.
That's some securities.
Nada.
Yeah. Crypto, we can do the interviews.
How many? Nope. How many AMAs? I got one more for you. How many AMAs did Berkshire Hathaway do in the same time frame?
I mean, they got it. I've seen. Okay.
1.
I actually know that one.
That's Warren Buffett trying to sell that peanut brittle.
Well, no, it was Warren Buffett and another gentleman with him, and they're investing into Japan, to be fair. And I actually covered that in a deep dive. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the point in this is the audacious attitude to go on the internet when Hara has done 45 interviews in the last handful of years, AMAs, and to expect the same rights and privileges as a stockholder in a company like Google, Apple, or Berkshire Hathaway, when they don't give you any AMAs at all, right? Think about that. And then someone said in the chat, Simon does exactly. So when you find a crypto project with a CEO, CFO, whomever, CTO, who is doing constant AMAs, the likes of Hara and Simon for Zebec and Jasmine, you are already extremely lucky to be given that level of information on a consistent basis as it is. And you know what? I'll throw in Canton as well, because they're really good at it as well, right? So
yeah, Yuval especially.
Zebec's pretty good too.
Yeah. So the point is, how do you have someone, the entitlement to have someone who does that many AMAs for the community, even invited myself as an individual to fly to Jasmine Labs and took the time to sit down with me for hours to have an interview and ask me any question I would ask him. I didn't have to pre-send him questions or anything like that. We just talked, man, right? For a few hours. How many CEOs are doing that? Do you think if I tried to contact Google and said, hey, bro, I'm going to fly down there and do a CEO, think if I called Tim Cook right now and said, hey, brother, I'm on my way, we're going to do that AMA together, right? You think I'd get through the front doors?
So I think that's the cool part about being in crypto is we have access to the cool CEOs. You know, if you're a cool CEO, come on, let's get it.
Well, we will highlight a comment that's not a super chat here in a bit, but we do want to recognize the super chat. It came from the Coin Vault, and it is from Tanel Harris, 4425. Thanks for the $2 super chat. He says it's a 5 cent. Is 5 cents a realistic target by 2028 for ZBCN? I think that's more than realistic, personally. I think that's being, rightfully conservative. But yeah, I think that's more than fair. Rue, and I know you probably have something that you want to mention.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair as well. And 5 cents would be a 5 billion market cap. I feel like that's easy the way they have the tokenomics set up, where basically any company that uses their payroll system, if they use any stable coin, the fees get automatically converted into ZBCN. So we know that they're actually putting value into the token. We also know that they do buybacks. So it should be very easy to get to 5 cents by 2028.
Yeah, so I did a video a couple weeks ago, and I put a 30x as my price target, and it was that same 5 bill valuation for that market cap. So I think that's doable.
Shitcoin going to zero.
Rob's on a warpath today.
He's on a warpath. Nothing's getting by Rob. He's
crypto
like
Armageddon today, boy.
Love saving it.
There is no future. It's crypto Armageddon, baby. It's crypto apocalypse today, boy.
There is no bathroom.
The bridge is out.
Man, like the past 24 hours has been rough. I threw Pump.Fun as a top 5 July pick, and I gave pretty good reasons. And people have been in a frenzy on this one, and I thought I gave pretty good reasons why. But a lot of people think this is going to be a whole different era going into this next bull market of utility only, and I'm not going to be upset with that. I think that's definitely fresh and it's fair, but I think people are inherently gamblers. And why buy a table when you can buy a casino? So I don't know. We'll see. I think there's a lot of speculation out there.
I know this is not super chat, but that's okay. We were talking about like these CEOs who do AMAs. This is a good comment from Dennis Leal, Francisco. He says he does not want his crypto CEOs spending too much time or social media on YouTube. He wants them to like Brad Garlinghouse, Gilbert Verdi, and Quant working and building behind the scenes. I don't want a Charles Hoskinson. I've seen some people lately compare Yuval to Charles Hoskinson. My main thing is, again, no shade on Cardano. I still hold Cardano. I've been holding for a very, very long time, to say the least, though. Unlike Cardano, I just feel as though we're getting constant updates of what they're really doing, right? Like, literally on a daily basis. And I know some people are like, Yuval feels a little bit like Canton's Cardano. I'm gonna say I understand where people are referencing that, but I think there's a big difference here.
Honestly, I like it. I'd rather see that than the little meme pictures for the whole team where you don't know who the leader is, you don't know who the coders are, right? You don't know anyone's real name. I'd rather my CEO be out there. I know his name. I can look him up. I can look at his history. I can look at the past things he's done rather than it be someone who's mysterious.
That's all good stuff, but some people take advantage of that because, for example, like Charles Hoskinson, he's very out and just vocal, but you could tell he's passionate about crypto. He wants it to win. So a lot of people don't like his ideas, and I understand that. Like Yuval Roos, like this guy, he actually called Charles Hoskinson out on Twitter, basically, let's go at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the type of things you can't do as a CEO, in my opinion. But I'll take a step further. You got this guy, Aster. I don't know if y'all seen Aster's founder, but this dude he's wild, and he's on Twitter. So there's a couple different profiles y'all definitely want to follow. And I think it's okay for CEOs to speak, but at least have some sort of like, just be gentlemen about it. Don't make it, just be gentlemen about it.
I would agree. And that's why I think you should go put your Chainlink hat back on and tell that right to Sergey Nazarov. Basically what you just mentioned, because he is also that same guy that goes after so many people without saying their direct name. But it is what it is.
For sure.
I understand.
Brad Garlinghouse, he talked bad about, he said, so they asked him the question, Robinhood or Coinbase? Within like literally half a second, he said Robinhood. And he made it sound like it was like a stupid question. He doesn't want nothing to do with Brian Armstrong.
Well, can you blame him?
I mean, they're all out for their own bags. Brad Garlinghouse, he don't want like cypherpunks to win. Let's be honest. Like, he is not crypto. At the end of the day, he is for the institutions. He's for the banks, and that's why he wants a Clarity Act to pass right away. I think you can invest in that, so that's why I'm rocking the shirt. But I'm real about it. I think Brian Armstrong's a little bit more for crypto, but then again, you got the guy on the other half, which is Charles Hoskinson, who is all about crypto. So I think you can make money in all of it.
I just want to say that's hugely funny that between Brian Armstrong and the CEO of Robinhood, where Robinhood was like, after what happened with that GameStop stuff, like they were just like excommunicated. And then, here a couple years later, everybody's forgot about
it. They got all the hottest cryptos. They just dropped what they dropped today.
The L2.
Chain. Yeah. Okay, the L2. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, people forgot about that one. It was a clearinghouse. It was their fault.
Right, Citadel.
Well, Citadel, this little kitty cat profile picture. Who is he? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we have to in crypto continue to have CEOs and all that stuff be willing to come out and do AMAs with content creators and stuff, because at the end of the day, I think it's genius on their part, because it's for one, it's free marketing, right? I mean, it's free, and you get to come out and you get to push whatever narrative about your project. You get to hype up whatever new upgrades you have. You get to stress the importance of it firsthand from your mouth, right? And I think that's massive, and I think that's something that TradFi kind of is missing the boat on, right?
Yeah. So my 100%. My thing is this, all right? I mean, we could talk TradFi all day, and rightfully so. We understand that we need to bridge those things into Web3, and we talk 100 years on this topic. How about bridging literally like all the big talk of semiconductors into this world of Web3? And this is what I see, obviously, Hara talking about. I did a deep dive about this the other day where I included some Q&T in the mix. So, Rob, we know about Hara and the whole thing of Remix Point. And I mean, the guy's not just obviously Jasmy's Junction, he's Remix Point, he's former KPMG. And so this event, when I went over to the actual site, I saw some things there that was interesting, to say the least. And it was constant talk about these AI startups in regard to semiconductors. And I always said to myself, you know what? We're going to have this moment again where we're going to talk about this again. I think everybody's going to talk about it. So you're going to see a lot of influencers that just have shut up about Jasmy since early 2025. We know who a lot of them are. We don't need to mention their names. And again, when we saw Jasmy the last 2 times go to some significant prices, and I'm talking about almost touching 6 cents, and when it had its run, what was the big thing in the press? I'm not going to do the test with you, Rob, where you're like, securities or anything like that. But the big test was semiconductors. People kept saying, I don't understand. Why does it keep doing its thing in light of the news about semiconductors? Well, if you go to this, he's going to be meeting with a lot of startups, and they're tied to just that, semiconductors in Taiwan. We know how crucial Taiwan is for semiconductors moving forward and whatnot. So I just think that they're going to lay the groundwork here. Remix Point is a big deal. I did see that Genki Oda of Remix Point, he did recently step down from the JVC or the JVCEA. But again, he is the founder of Remix Point. He's the founder of BitPoint, who's responsible for blanketing Japan originally with Bitcoin ATMs. Remember when that used to be a thing back in 2016, 2017, give or take. So this is a guy I've always stated is a key person that it's in the best interest of Jasmy not to tick off. Like they need this guy as an ally. Well, now as him stepping down, it seems as though Genki Oda is putting a lot of focus on just that adoption, regulatory compliance. Why? Because he used to be that guy, right? And so for Hara to work directly with somebody like this, again, somebody is also part of SBI, right? Genki Oda. And by the way, just found out this, maybe some other people knew this, Genki Oda is also part of Ripple Asia department, director, I should say, excuse me. So that's an important thing to reference here. So again, when we think about Jasmy, in the recent news, we saw this whole thing of their JPYD stablecoin. And I'm just looking at it from the perspective that I think Jasmy is going to have the RLUSD moment. I'm not saying it's going to be this year, but this is the first time we've had evidence that they are moving forward with some of their other products. And in this case, in the form of a stable coin. And again, when you go right to that website, you see a key partner that has Ripple integration. So I think there's a lot going on here. There's this expo that's also coming out that's outside the Taiwan thing. It's called, I think, XWeb or something like that. And I highlighted that Yuval Ruiz of Canton's going to be there. There's at least 3 key people from Canton going to be there. Also on top of that, you have other key participants. Somebody's got some background, something like their TV on, so that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to respond a little bit to that, the first part of what you said. I don't know if it's the direction you meant to go in or not, but you're absolutely right with the, projects, the content creators, they get real quiet when it comes to projects, when nothing's really going on. And you'd think that a project like Jasmy, for example, if you cover it enough, you would know that they get real quiet, and then they just hit you with so many rights you're begging for a left, right? Like when they announced their partnership with Panasonic, it was like radio silence for like 3 months before that. And people were, chomping at the bit. There's no updates, there's no news, there's no nothing. And then wham, right between the eyes with a Panasonic partnership, right? And that actually, it's funny, that actually is what, I don't know if you remember, there was a bit of an issue between Ninja and I a couple of years back. And it was because he, I was covering XCN, and we got into it really early in our community and stuff. And we were like the only ones talking about it, to the point where we literally had one of the ambassadors doing a weekly show on Sundays on my channel, a weekly AMA, right, with the community every Sunday for like the entire summer. And then it pumped up. All of a sudden, XCN went on like a 500% run. Ninja started talking about it and started telling everybody that he was the first content creator talking about it. He's the only one who talks about it. And then obviously the community my community got angry at him, saying, bro, Rob had the ambassador on his channel for the last like 10 months, and you're sitting here saying you're the first one to talk about it, kind of thing. But that goes to what you're saying, is that they get real quiet and people don't talk about these projects. And the same thing happened with Zebec, for crying out loud. Nobody was really talking about Zebec except for a handful of people. Myself, Rue, Max, I know you were talking about it. You know, a handful of other people were talking about it. And then all of a sudden it went up, what, 500-600%. And then all of a sudden everyone just started making all this Zebec content. And I was the first one. And, you know, they wait for it to pump. And I'm not, listen, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? I get it. It's what's, what do you call it? It's viral, it's trending. So obviously you're going to make content about it. I get it, right? But for me personally, when I start covering a brand new project and it, you know, my videos take off with it and stuff, I always shout out back to people who were covering it before me where I got information from. I never just say I was the first, I was the only if I wasn't, right? If I was watching someone else getting updates on it and getting interested in it because of Crux of Crypto, then I'm going to say, hey guys, you know what? Like, again, shout out to Crux of Crypto for turning me on to this project. I didn't know about it. He was talking about it early. It's just a tip of the hat. It's just respect, right?
Sure. Yeah, no, with you guys, I definitely want to come on and start talk about Zebec like straight away, because I was like, you guys knew exactly what you're talking about very early on. So I definitely paid the homage. In the very first live stream, I was like, you know, you guys brought me to Zebec. You know, I've heard of them, but I didn't know what they really were until I started paying attention. So you always got to pay homage. But I think y'all are going to be paying homage with this pump.fun. You know, it's my second time talking about them. And we will see in about a year or two. You know, maybe he was right. Maybe it goes to zero. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, anything could go to zero, right?
Yeah. That's about creating content. We are putting our reputation on the line. Like back in October when I called the top, that is it. You know, I could have lost everything right there. I can, like, who is this guy? We just pumped, you know, 8.2x from 15.5 to 126, calling for a top. It just sounds ignorant, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I doubled down, I tripled down, and never swapped, you know, so my credibility is on the line and it's played out. So, but for every time I do that, there's been something that's went south. You know, I've called bad calls, you know, and that's just part of being a content creator.
Yeah, I just wanted to address this question by Rigged Outcome. The former CEO of Sony is actually Ondo, not Hara. And yes, Ondo still is in Jasmy Labs on a regular basis. When I was down in Jasmy Labs in Tokyo, Hara actually told me that Ondo still walks from his house to the office every day. How old is he, Max? He's 80 something?
I think he's like 84, 83, something like that.
Yeah, he still walks to the office every day. So yeah, he's 100%. And let's not forget about Sato, right?
Yeah, I mean, Sato-san is not as old, but just to be transparent also with you, so Hara is not the CEO. He's technically the CFO, which is Chief Financial Officer. And I think the reason why they chose him to be a financial officer is his background when he was part of KPMG as an accountant with them. So he has a ton of experience when it comes to accounting, compliance. I know that most people, according to my analytics, most people didn't watch that video in regard to the video about Jasmy and Quant. What's crucial for the understanding is, again, that guy Genki Yoda, it's just like, take the opposite of who Gary Gensler was. All right. Seriously. Yeah. Right. And just flip that. And that's who Genki Yoda is. So to have Hara working directly with that guy in Japan, there is so much evidence to support that now that he is shifted, as in Genki Yoda, to this new role, and again, where he stepped down from the JV CEA, it's going to be really, really awesome. And you see Hara, he's going over to this AI Expo. He's going to meet other startups, and at least 5 or 6 of them on that list that I saw from that AI Expo in Taiwan, again, focus on semiconductors and so on. I mean, it just, you know, people say, how can any of that stuff pump? Like, how in the world did Jasmy pump with all that news about semiconductors? Just understand how the internet works. because when you understand how like a financial internet would work, basically it's not necessarily so much about just partners. It's understanding that you have protocols that are plugged into other protocols, and it's how they talk to each other, right? I mean, can you imagine making a financial deal saying, oh, you know what? Sorry, everybody who invests into our project. You guys can't earn any money right now because we don't have a partnership with this particular company. People be like, huh? What are you talking about? So I kind of look at a lot of these things that happen in the background. They happen for a reason. It's because that is how the internet works. I mean, there's countless applications that we use every day that talk to thousands of other applications, right? But doesn't mean that those other applications are partners with those other applications. It's an interconnected world, right? Everything has to talk to each other, and it does talk to each other.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. What was the Hara? I think the question stemmed from Hara. I'm assuming this Hara jumping over to be on the board of what's it called again?
Recent company. Point.
Yeah. Yes. Remix Point. But yeah, he's just a board member there. Gives him, if anything, it gives Jasmine more of a chance to be utilized by legitimate companies, because they are a legitimate company actually on the stock market there, right? So
I was gonna say, yeah, I just saw it. I was just pointing out, like, I literally went to the Remix Point YouTube. All right, so obviously all of it's in Japanese, but the nice thing is you can grab the transcript. You can tell like an AI, hey, I need you to interpret this into from Japanese to English. And so it did that, and it pointed out some things. I was like, oh my gosh. So when I got further into it, of course, I went down the rabbit hole, but I honestly think we're going to see Jasmine's next moment. Will it be another moment where it's close to 6 cents? You never know. But I definitely don't think that these things hurt at all. And the thing that I point out in the video, Rob, was, again, their patents. So again, who was I referring to in regard to the patents is Tadashi Morita, and I was citing a lot of Felica. And the reason why I did that is because that ended up becoming just the regular standard all around Japan. It's so much of a standard that, like, it's just encapsulated with all the society for the most part, in just that Japan and other areas in that particular jurisdiction. But when we think outside of it all, when we talk about like image sensors and shout out to Dip Metaverse, he shared this one new article about a new phone, and it referenced a lot of, like, obviously my number. Every time people that hop on the Jasmine train, they reference my number, and that's okay. But again, when I look at the patents, I said to myself, my God, like, here's this guy, does zero, obviously like an AMA, if you will, because that's not really his role, Tadashi Morita, and we go to the actual patents. It's like, all right, think of those old Sony patents, think of Felica, think about where Jasmine's moving forward. And so then he sent me another thing about the Sony PlayStation 6 that has leaked out, which supposedly is going to come out in 2027. And I said to myself, you know what? I know it's a big speculative bet, but again, that right there on the PS6, we had an example in regard to Morita. He has a patent that specifically would like use like a Sony PS6 controller. And some people were like, well, that's only the controller. Well, still, it's personal data that's being passed, right? And there's like an image sensor on that. And it's a form of kind of like a digital ID to a sense. So people ask, like, well, would that be tied to my number? Not so much. But again, what's being referenced, it is still his original patent as far as Felica. So even if we only hit a small, minute percentage of any of those people in that user base, right? I mean, come on, a PS6. I mean, the big news this year is what leaked out in regard to GTA 6. That's finally coming out, I believe, in November. So would a PS6 like have something in regard to a personal data locker? We'll have to see. But if there is, that would be huge for them.
Yeah, I did cover that in a video. Icy had shared it too, Icy Amphibian over on X. And so I did talk about that, I think, yesterday. And it would be interesting because what's happening is they're actually also switching over from CDs and discs to digital games, right? So now you got to buy them and download the games to your PlayStation instead of, you're not going to be able to go to the store and buy the physical CD anymore to put it in. That's a thing of the past moving forward for Sony, which is another interesting thing, because where are you going to store those games, right? Where are you going to store all that data that you're downloading, that you're saving, that you're buying from Sony and stuff like that? Well, maybe you
It's on
get
the cloud.
maybe you get a personal data locker. And I highly stressed, because people always ask, well, why would Sony go with Jasmine? Well, I mean, tell me you don't know Jasmine without telling me you don't know Jasmine. I don't know. Maybe two of the creators of the freaking project are former Sony executives with deep roots to the company. Why would they not choose them? Right?
I just want to
Japanese-based company. Go ahead.
I know I'm doing a lot of talking. I apologize. So I just want to point this out. Some people say, well, all these things you guys are talking about already exist in Steam. Like, shout out to any of you guys that are gamers. So Steam is 100% digital. They first introduced a lot of digital, like even, my God, like 2005, all the way up to present. So in regard to the whole concept of, people are not going to be used to digital only, they have been. I mean, this has been going on for at least 15 years or so. Go ahead.
I just want to give a shout out to Underdog because he's in the chat. Shout out to my guy. He says, gentlemen, in the words of Blackrue, Black R, people thinking it's sweet out here. Good evening to all of you. Great to hear you getting the conversation going. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you.
Rue also told the chat that he's getting ready to pounce on us here. He's waiting for his moment. So I figured, why not segue and give Rue his moment in the sun with the Zebec app conversation going on in the chat.
No, thank you.
I guess
guys.
I was long-winded there, so I'll wrap it up.
Bro, don't apologize. You have nothing to apologize for, man.
All right.
It's just as much me.
Thanks, guys. No. That's where the conversation was going, and we let that go full out. It's all good. Let me share my screen here. That'll take another 5 minutes. And then
let's go back to Jasmine while he's figuring out how to share his screen. We got time.
And then we'll get into it here. So Ria Finance, which is connected to Near, they offered the Euro EU. It's now live on Ria's cross-chain trade powered by Near Intense. And like I said, Near and Zebec are set to take that European liquidity. We know they just booted out Binance, as Rob said earlier. They just booted out Tether. So I think Near, Zebec, and Stellar are going to get a lot of that liquidity into their stable coins that they're having here. And Euro E is one of them. You can see it here. It's MiCA compliant. And as you guys know, everything needed to be MiCA compliant by July 1st of this year. We'll go show you here who has that Euro E. That's by Monerium. And they say here on their site, they're MiCA compliant here with a couple different things. They're like, hey guys, we're MiCA compliant. Let me see, where is it here? Yep. They say they're MiCA compliant. They also mention the IBANs, which Simon mentioned on his Paul Barron interview, right? And they also mentioned something here with CowSwap, which is connected to Canton. But let's continue on here. We also know that Zebec was working with Token GBP, the first UK British pound stablecoin to bring native GBP payments to Zebec. Sure, that's going to get a lot more liquidity now that Tether is gone as well. And we have here a few words from Simon from Clarity Act discussions to US to stablecoin policy in the UK. Stablecoin regulation is accelerating. As a global business, Zebec is building products that support a wide range of fiat-backed digital currencies. Simon shares his perspective. Let's play that right quick here.
For years, the industry has been asking for the rules of the road, and now we're getting closer to a world where stable coins can actually be treated less like an experiment and more like genuine payment infrastructure. Simon, from Zebec's perspective, what are the policymakers currently trying to understand from that perspective?
You're completely right. I mean, at Zebec, we are a global business, so we're involved in policy discussions in many markets beyond just the US. I've now had the privilege of attending a few sessions of the House of Lords in the UK, and in many cases, given how early they are, they want to understand what a stablecoin is, what it can do, and how best to regulate and control them. The US is far ahead of most other countries with stablecoin regulation, as we've mentioned, of course, the Genius Act and the Impending Clarity Act. And now others, such as the UK, are playing catch up. So there's also the topic of US dollar dominance that comes into play, especially when you're dealing with foreign countries and other currencies. And how do you bring these currencies like the pound, for example, on chain in the same way that Circle and Tether have done so successfully for the US dollar? So there's a concern around that as well. But the beauty of our Rails and our enterprise system at Zebec is that we can support a wide array of tokenized assets and currencies.
Now, speaking of a wide array of stable coins and currencies, you guys mentioned Circle earlier. Some big news from Circle here. I think this was just posted today, actually. Standard Chartered becomes the first GSIB, and I looked up GSIB for people to understand what that means. Let me pull that up here. It's Global Systematically Important Bank, okay, to offer direct USDC liquidity as a bundled service for institutional clients. Demand from major banks to offer USDC continues to grow, corresponding to its growth in on-chain payments and treasury and tokenization. Okay, so huge there. Standard Chartered and Circle with the handshake there. Very big thing. We also know that Circle is they are investors in Zebec, so this is good for them. You know, institutional clients. They just did what they did with the institutional stuff. And there was some chatter in the chat about the super app. I don't know if you guys have gone onto the super app thing lately to look at your staking, but they completely revamped that UI and it is beautiful. I'm coming from a UI engineer, which I am. That UI looks very, very good. And that's going to make it way more user friendly. And people, you know, like HR people are really going to want to use that. And they're really going to have a nice time with that. I just want to make sure I add that. And to segue into what Near and Zebec, I think, have a future in, which is AI agents and AI payments. We have this information from Artemis. They're very reputable in the analysis area. Now, they said this from Cloudflare, that Cloudflare says they expect AI bot traffic to surpass human traffic by 2027. Shout out to the Patreon. We've covered this in the Patreon like a month ago, but I'm telling you guys here now. So not like years away from now, they're expecting AI bot traffic to surpass human traffic basically 5 months from now, like literally. Okay. And just note that Cloudflare was one of the companies that was a part of this open USD standard. I have them covered there in the blue. This open USD standard, which I know Zebec is probably a part of because their BD posted information about this, right? 140 companies now adopting this open USD standard. So this is going to make it very much easier for agentic AI people to communicate to banks and fintechs around the world. Like, we can't go through this whole list here. I did a show on this a couple days ago. Definitely check out that show. But there are people, there are banks from around the world, fintechs from around the world on this list, Visa's on this list, like they're global payment companies. Everybody's on this list. Multiple people from different countries like Abu Dhabi, Africa, Latin America. Everybody's covered here. So this is going to make it a lot easier for Zebec to do payroll. It's going to make it a lot easier for agentic AI to happen. But here we are, Cloudflare, who's predicting agents to surpass humans in 2027. They're on this list. And oh, by the way, they're also on the list for MasterCard here, where 30 industry leaders are joining for agent pay for machines. More on this in a future show on my channel, but MasterCard launches agent pay for machines to unlock super fast, always on payments. Cloudflare is one of those companies, as well as some notable companies down here at the bottom here. I think I just passed it. There they are. Most notable is T54 Labs, which is doing agentic AI facilitator stuff for both Ripple and Franklin Templeton. Okay. And we already know Tempo in reference to Zebec, and we know Stripe in reference to Zebec, Bridge, and also Stellar. So everybody's covered here. The whole path to machines, agentic AI, and these stable coins is set. And by the way, we know that does the machine payments protocol, which will allow companies like Visa, who may have payments that are ACH, to connect into this network too. So all the groundwork has been laid for payments, both of a crypto nature and a non-crypto nature, to have access to this network.
There you go. Sorry, you got more? Did I cut you
No,
off?
any thoughts? Any thoughts? No, you didn't. I know that was a lot of information, but anybody have any thoughts on it? I was trying to make it like clear and concise and not too long.
I want to throw this at Max first. He's got a super chat to kind of cover.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to get into in that regard. I know that I stopped covering what was it, XDB, but we did see XDB on Alchemy, so I'll have to give that a shot or a try again. And maybe if I can just get the thing to, go through and give me my darn tokens, right? Maybe I would start covering it again. It's just, it's hard to be enthusiastic about something you don't have access to, right? But you also see Anchorage here. Shout out to all of us, right? We covered the whole thing of Anchorage Digital. We know about the integrations with XDC. We know the integrations with Zebec. So there's a lot of overlap here. We saw Crossmint. I believe we all three cover that. I also showed the Quant Network integrations on pipedream.com with that. So there's a lot to unpack. I mean, Tempo. I mean, how many times have you heard us talk about that, especially you, Rue, on your live shows? You see Ripple here. Shout out to Jetpack Joe. I know he's not a big fan of Ripple, but that's okay. We still love you. We also see here, obviously, Solana Foundation. So, I mean, there's so much to unpack here. I do have some news I'll get into a little bit later if we have time. But there was some somewhat breaking news because, I mean, shout out to Jetpack. I know that you're a big fan of X402. There is an X402 update in regard to Quant Network. But, so great research as usual, Rue. People, we appreciate your deep dives, brother.
Thank
Max,
you. I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that super chat's yours, Max. That's why.
Oh, well, thank you so much. $28 super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. I really do appreciate you. Rigged Outcome. I did see some of your comments earlier. It does mean a lot. And I will use something to kind of compliment what you said. You said something like, I didn't need to apologize or whatever. Well, sometimes I just feel like I kind of, I go on and some people say I'm too long-winded or whatever, but I do need to respect there's other people that are here. But here's something I do want to do. So this is a real treat, and this is a combination of your super chat and also Cool Cat. So Cool Cat, good to see you, man. He's one of the OGs in the space. He's been following Maximus Crypto along with a lot of people since, I remember you watching me since 2022. But Cool Cat has this comment. He says, Stellar is looking more and more like the chosen one. Want to know something, you guys? You know how right Cool Cat is when he says that? The chosen one. We actually have documents to support that. Now, I know it's Thursday, bro. Bear with me. But Rue just got to go, and I'm going to do this real quick. I'm just going to do it real quick, all right? So you guys need to see this. Cool Cat knows what he's talking about here, right? When we say the chosen one. So watch this. This is straight from the biz. I'll make it super quick, I swear. 30 seconds flat. Let's count it right now. So Bank for International Settlements, the rise of tokenized money market funds. Watch this. Listen to what Cool Cat just said. He says that he feels as though that Stellar's chosen one. Right here on page 6 of 8 is the rise of tokenized money market funds from the BIS. They point out the TMMF market underwent a significant structural shift. Initially, Stellar and Network allows comparatively cheap transfers in much smaller amounts than other blockchains was the preferred choice of its issuers. So that's, wow, what an endorsement to get that from a highlight from the BIS. See, that's 30 seconds right there. And on top of that, huh?
It was like 32.
Yeah,
What if I think it's hit his face?
Like that when anyway, I'm just kidding. And then on top of that, some people say, well, wouldn't Ripple also be? I would have to say that too. Want to know why? This BIS report, May 2026, elasticity of money and production. I covered this today. BIS came out with a video 2 days ago talking about this to the T. This describes XRP to the T. Watch this. They literally say on-demand liquidity backwards. Right here, the BIS highlights on page 4 of 48. Such provision of liquidity on demand allows financial obligation to be settled efficiently, preventing gridlock and mitigating the disruptive effects of shocks on the broader economy. And they even talk about the need for cash flows. They talk about the need of DLT. And so I'm like, how do you say Ripple without saying Ripple? Literally, they call it liquidity on demand. What's Ripple's main product? On-demand liquidity. They just said it backwards. Here's another example. I said it backwards right there too. And then right down here, look at this.
Sneaky.
Oh, this is crazy. A lot of people haven't seen this. Despite the critical role in the economy, the demand-driven money or nature of money is elasticity is often inadequate, addressed in many theories of money supply. For example, the loanable funds view portrays banks as passive intermediaries that must wait for deposits. So right there, what about tokenized deposits? So you think of like your quant network. Again, tokenized deposits is what? It's basically programmable liquidity. This means the same thing. To arrive before issuing new loans, under this framework, bank cannot provide liquidity on demand. But who would? Ripple with their what? Their main product? What's their main product? On-demand liquidity? They just said it backwards. And through such credit lines, unless these facilities are pre-funded. So, I mean, I just go to the documents. I know some people, are pissed off with Ripple, and it is what it is. And it's all good. I mean, I get it, but I also cover Canton and some of those other ones. Anyway, I just want to make that super quick. Shout out to you, Cool Cat, and thanks again for the super chat to you, brother, who is Mr. Rigged Outcome. Thank you so much.
So I got something I wanted to address before I go back to the original question about the Zebec Super app, and that was so rock and roll. I just wanted to kind of respectfully kind of mention to you. I know that you're kind of on a rant in the chat about how much you don't like Canton. What we try to encourage here is respectful disagreements with people. It's okay for somebody to like a project without needing to not respect them. I'm sure that there's a lot of projects that you like, for example, that other people don't like. It doesn't mean that they no longer need to treat you with respect and dignity. It's something that we try to encourage here is healthy disagreements. And we respect your right to not like Canton and talk bad about it in the chat. We're not going to censor you for that. But everyone deserves respect, my friend, right? So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. But to go back to the question about the Zebec Super app and Simon dropping the ball. Technically, I don't think he did, because right now we know that they announced, and I covered it about a week ago, that they reached regulatory compliance with the mobile Super app, and they did send in their applications to the Apple Store and the Play Store on the iPhones and the Android phones. So technically, I mean, they can't rush Apple and Android to get their apps released. They've done everything on their end, in my opinion, before the quarter ended, which was the goal and what they had said, to get their mobile app released. So for me personally, I don't think that they dropped the ball. I know it's kind of splitting hairs a little bit, right?
Take it from a software engineer. Software is hard. It takes a long time. You have a lot of regulatory compliances. You have like audits. You have penetration tests. You got testing, validation, verification. You have a ton of different things that you need to do with software for it to work. So when you're dealing with people's money, their payroll, right, their identity, you want to make damn well sure that can't be hacked. Okay. So if that takes a little bit longer, that's fine with me.
Sure. Yeah. Hey. Plus, it's already up on the website, right? Like they already have the website and the enterprise section up. So now it's just kind of a waiting game for the phones. So you can always just use the website.
Yeah. Right. And that's a good point. That's a good point, Crux. And understand, guys, a desktop app is different from an Android app, which is different from an iPhone app. So Those are way different. Those are way different things, right? And they're doing all of that at pretty much breakneck speed. And again, you gotta penetration test that and make sure there are no hacks, and it's very, very secure.
And imagine how upset that people would be if they, for example, they finished the Android app first, got it out, and then people on iPhone couldn't use. Man, that would.
Oh man,
that's what we feel across.
As an Android user, Apple always gets stuff first. I don't get it. I just don't. But we always got to wait.
So I got to throw that out there with what Rue just mentioned in regard to different forms of apps. So we all use this, whether it's an Android or an Apple phone, to send each other texts. Who doesn't text at this particular point in their life? Unless like you're 80 or whatever, you prefer a home phone. That crowd still exists. So with that said, what about financial texting? Well, that financial texting, everybody, is ISO 222 messages. Shout out to me and Crux. We just talked about this earlier, right? So I found out that with the old messaging of MT with Swift, that was limited to like 32 characters and was really basic code. So shout out to you, Ro. You're really, you're a real life coder. So the difference is moving forward with an enriched data, you went from MT messaging, and now it's called MX. MX is literally, it means ISO 222. So now we went from 32 characters of that text to now 10,000 characters with, by the way, and I'm sure you're familiar with this, XML coded inside of that. So when people say this is enriched data, this is enriched financial data. So again, you have a central bank of South Korea, and they're like, hey, we need to bail out this particular country, but we're not going to repeat what the United States did back in 2008 with, the bailing out the banks and the government taking on that debt. We're going to use financial debt instruments to do that. All right. What is that? That's a lender of last resort. Who would be the platforms that will tokenize this? And this is, again, something else. You guys need to see this video. I'm pretty psyched, Crux, next week, right? So that video, we get into a nice little conversation. We don't even flash anything up on the screen, which is kind of crazy, but that's all right. And we talk about some of those things that most people don't understand in that regard, because it's that simple. So we text each other, hey, bro, what's going on? Shake your thing, girlfriend. You shake little far and all this stuff. But at the same time,
I don't remember that text.
I don't remember that. But at the same time, the central banks are like, guess what? Hey, I'm going to send financial messages to you. So right now we're like, well, financial messages, that doesn't do anything. It does do something in the future with real true clarity. I'm looking for those order books to move like they never moved before, because for the first time in history, I truly feel as though that we'll finally incentivize these commercial banks, these central banks, and so on to move more money than has ever moved in the history of mankind. This is where people, even on other platforms, you know who these guys are, they'll say, we're going to witness the biggest transfer of wealth in human history. I couldn't agree more with that.
Yep, absolutely.
And keep in mind, guys, they're working with multiple different chains. You got to make sure it works for every chain. You got working with enterprises is probably encrypted. You got to make sure it's encrypted in rest and in transit. You got to make sure the GUI looks nice. You have to make sure the backend has no vulnerabilities. There is a lot of stuff. This isn't like Dreamweaver, all right? This isn't, we're just going to copy and paste some code and it's just going to work out of the box type of thing. This isn't, what is it, Wix. We're not just, right, copying and pasting stuff and it's just going to work.
You're taking shots. Yeah.
Right? I mean,
it's literally this simple. It's like you get a receipt. Like how many times
it's not WordPress.
How many times you go and get like a receipt from like a diner or a Chinese restaurant, whatever, and then it lists some basic stuff. I'm looking at it from the perspective of like, all right, what about a financial receipt at scale where literally everything that's mentioned there tells a whole like receipt of, all right, it was for this exact amount, this exact bank, what for? But instead of just looking at a slip, a physical slip, somebody can literally take their finger, just like we do when we click on the app, and then you click on something and it opens up, and it gives a little bit more of a story. So these financial receipts are no longer just like a basic receipt that's just like, oh, money went from point A to point B. No, like there's a whole fully verifiable rap sheet, to say the least, of everything that's on it. If you don't mind, Rob, I want to splash this on the screen. It's from Gilbert Verdian. It's a big update because this thing of X402, a lot of people have been covering this, and including myself, right? So today's update is just real brief, right? This happened this morning, 8:08 a.m. And as you see here, Quant with Linux Foundation. Now, shout out to a lot of you guys who follow Jesse of Apex Crypto Insights. He's pointed out before that, and also Scott, right? Scott of Longview Compute pointed out that Hyperledger, before it was literally called Hyperledger, the Hyperledger Foundation, right? They changed their name to the Linux Foundation, or the Decentralized Trust, right? So right here, you have Gilbert Verdian points out how AI agents, and I saw you guys in the chat, by the way, are increasingly making transactions, again, executing trades, all this stuff. Banks authorize transactions, provide safeguards to our money. Agentic AI transactions should be no different. I would agree with that. Operating within secure guardrails of banks' security and protection. And look what it says here. This is another example, you guys. And this is coming from the head guy, right? Like, the buck stops here with Gilbert Verdian. That's why Quant Network has joined X402 Foundation, hosted by Linux Foundation. So this is a big update. It says layer 2.5, right? We know that this is kind of like a monopoly. Nobody has a layer 2.5 other than Quant. Multi-ledger rollup is X402 ready today across 70 plus networks. So again, big shout out to Crypto Mike. I don't know if he's in the comments, but something that we discovered is that this layer 2.5, which by the way is only from Quant, basically solves like a $42 billion problem. And what is that $42 billion problem? It's the wrap token problem. So to combine the wrap token problem that exists, my God, there's a lot of cryptocurrencies that are wrapped, to say the least. And I'm not bashing a lot of them, right? But it is what it is. To see this with X402, by the way, okay, and across 70 plus networks, again, Rue, like think about some of the ones both you and I have been covering. They're tied to X402, and it says interoperability between decentralized and institutional finance is what we are building. So I will be doing a deep dive that will be picking this fully apart, probably be coming out within the next day or two. But finally, we're getting some examples of these things that Jesse was talking about. So shout out to Jesse. Really knew what the heck he was talking about with this, and now we're getting it come into fruition. Rue, I know we have other people here that want to chime in on this, but I'm salivating at the bit, to say the least, to get your 2 cents on this, because you've done, I don't know, 6 deep dives about this on your live show. Oh, Max never listens to my show. I am driving down the road, taking it in. I can't do no texting and driving. Now, why would I do that? But I want to get some of your 2 cents on this, man.
Man, that's huge. That's huge information, man. You wanted to say something really quick, Rob?
Yeah, I was just going to chime in there and say, when I texted you guys earlier about a quant update that I wanted to give, that's what I'm going to be breaking down. I was going to break it down in a little bit, but I'll do a separate video about it, and I'll let Rue drop the alpha.
Yeah, man, that's huge, and I think that's not a coincidence that came out so close to the Open USD announcement, right?
I was thinking the same thing, bro. The same thing. Yes, go ahead.
That's so huge. And with Quant's Fusion and Quant's Pay Script, right? Oh, that's really huge. So basically with that and the machine language protocol, like all of the things with open AI agents, or with AI agents, can not only have the crypto market working with it, everything from Visa, everything from robotics, right? All of that can plug into it. Like that's insane. Like I'm gonna have to do a separate show just to say how insane that is, bro. It's like there's so many things hitting my mind about that. Thank you for that, Max. That's
no problem. And I know I can't share the document, but people I knew at some point will hear more about Qualcomm in every device, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we're running out of time here, guys. We're at about an hour and 10 minutes. I'd like to start doing these longer. That's the plan for the future, if you guys have the time. But for now,
the crypto future.
What did you say? I gotta hang up on this. How do I run this?
You're gonna turn him into like Canadian Beavis from Beavis and Butthead. He's gonna be like, "Are you switching to me?" You know, but he's gonna do it like in his Canadian voice. You know what I mean? Like, anyway.
TV.
Jeez. Look at you, right? Anyway.
That's the one impression I do good. You do like 5. That's my one impression.
Too much MVP.
5? 5? I do 23 to be exact. Thank you very much.
All right, let's go around the table. Crux, final thoughts, my friend. What's going on? You've been quiet for a bit.
Yeah, so midterm years. We're in a midterm year. I think that we're going to get a relief pump, probably closer to about 65,000. Maybe we go up to 70K, but I think we dump in August and September. So 6 for 6. If you look at 2022, if you look at 2018, if you look at 2012, August and September, on average, lose at around like 20 to 25% total. But that's perfect. That gives us our last flush out. Most likely, I could see the Clarity Act most likely passing around August timeframe. And then at that point, so buy the rumors, sell the news, get us our last flush. And if you do it right, you will be a rich person by 2029. So
sweet. Also, I know we're going around the table. You didn't get a chance to talk much. Probably because, a lot of us were talking with the news. But by all means, Crux, share with us in our community, please, a call to action. Crux, ladies and gentlemen, has his own live shows. Tell us all about your live show, what time that's going to be.
Yeah, so I do live streams every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. I just, on this last one, gave my 16 different portfolio picks, 16 different plays on how I'm going to turn 100K into $1 million. So it was a dope live stream. On these live streams, I do interactive ones. So I have you guys feeding me data and I'm analyzing in real time. So, it's really good. So every Tuesday, just once we get into the bull market, I'll start going 2 times. But for now, we're just doing 1.
And if this is your first time tuning in, everybody, when you heard him say 100,000 to $1 million, you may be thinking, oh, that's what everybody says. Guess what? He's actually done this, right? Was 130,000 into what? Something like 1.3 million?
Yep. So it's basically a 10x like portfolio. So if you only have 5K, we could turn that 5K into 50K. So everybody's a little bit different, but a 10x portfolio, check out that live.
Nice.
There you go. There you go. Guys, make sure you're subscribed over there as well. I say this all the time. 6.8K subs is unacceptable behavior. Get over there. Let's get them to 10K subs. Rue, we got to get you up to 10K subs too, right? What are you at now?
9,630 something.
Nice.
Yeah, come on, you guys. I mean, seriously, call to action from all our communities. The big raw crypto future community. If you're not subbed over on Rue's platform, let's get them up to 10K. The Coin Vault, let's get them up to 10K. Maximus Crypto, let's get them up to 10K. All you guys, Crux Crypto, let's get Rue up to that 10K. It'd be a great milestone. Yeah.
Send it.
We can't read that one out loud, Elon Musk, but we see it.
Damn.
That's hilarious.
Savage.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, Rue, final thoughts?
I'm just excited for the agentic AI economy. I think it's coming very, very soon to a world realm near you. And let's hit that $1 million price target, guys. Let's all become millionaires this bull run.
Darn right. Regis Philbin, who wants to be a millionaire? Maybe in the future, 20, 30 years from now, if we're still around, we'll be like, well, who wants to be a billionaire?
Hey, there you go. Love it.
Well, if we keep printing money, billionaire is not gonna be that.
Right? No kidding. That's why Elon Musk had to become a trillionaire, right? So, geez, that's a good point, Rob. I didn't even think about that.
All right, guys. Well, for me, final thoughts as always. Yellow snow is not lemonade ice cones, okay? Snow cones. So we will see you guys in the next one. God bless.
Jeez, I would have to go 2 hours north to piss up in the snow. Anyway, yeah, see you guys.